Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm really glad that I'm here, and thanks for giving us this opportunity to be on this stage where we could present something which is valuable for you. Now, we happen to be the top partners with AWS, which is represented here by Neha. Wherever we feel that you have a question, just hold on because we only have 20 minutes. We are here for the rest of the evening. We'll be happily answering those questions for you. So today's agenda is to discuss how do we enable this cloud journey, whether it's transformation or modernization. I have kept it very simple. We'll speak about the current status, the driving forces, the challenges which we have anticipated which could trouble you, and some of the success stories from where you can learn what we can do going forward. So where we are in terms of the industry today, we have already seen the big potential in moving towards the cloud, and therefore we have embarked on this journey. All of us have taken it up. There are some driving forces, and I'll speak a little bit about what are those, and there are some challenges which we come across. And of course, I'm sure all of you have started, but you are not all at the same level. Depending on when you started, depending on the objective, what you were trying to do, you are at different place in this journey or different stage in this journey. Now, some of the factors for which the cloud has taken the top speed, the cloud has become the top priority is faster decisions. People are now able to look at the data, take a decision. Dr. Sehgal also talking about how many people are going to come for the Kumbh Mela. Now it's no more a simple guesswork. You can look at some data and decide. Unification. A lot of companies have a lot of departments, how they want to work with each other, how information from one department could be useful for the other is very, very important. And because earlier these systems were all living separately, it was not even possible. Forget about the price. Modernization. All of us want to have faster response, easier interface, something for which we do not have to pay a lot for a database, and so on and so forth. And of course, monitoring. For example, and I just remembered IPL. Now, there's one of our customers called JustPay. Their load increased significantly when an IPL match starts. Now, how do you counter that? It is only that time, those number of hours. How do you want to deal with it? You cannot provision an elephant to pick a log. And of course, artificial intelligence, there's so much hype about it, I do not have to tell you. And of course, optimizing the cost, which happens to be the last one, not the first one. The challenge is that now how much do we change? We have created those systems in last 30 years. How much of that should be changed? How much of that? We just had a roundtable conference before this where people are saying that we do not have to just pick everything and put it on the cloud. The other one is, okay, fine, some we will shift. Which one? Where do we start? Is it this one? And also there is a common misconception, of course not among you, but in the industry, that everything is lift and shift. Not everything is lift and shift. There's lift and shift, lift and optimize, or re-platform, or recreate, or even, which you may not like, retire. And that's what is the last point. How much of legacy you want to carry forward? So, looking at these, I have created 3 success stories which you can learn from, which can tell you how you can unleash the power of cloud technology. Now, I have kept these 3 pieces in my mind, that these 3 stories will be highlighting how you can provision a big, large-scale migration and yet have saving, enhance the performance and speed, and of course, provide analytics and customer growth, because all of this is dependent on how your customer is feeling about it. What is the experience the customer is having, how the interface is responding, which database it is fetching the data from, and so on and so forth. So the first one is about a company which is a global multi-billion-dollar company into professional services. They offer auditing services, consulting, advisory, and they have customers in 150 countries on all different industries. Now, they are helping companies to navigate complex challenges, help them with decision making, define their business growth, and so on. And hence, this platform which they were looking at is huge. And therefore, they asked from the company to us was, they wanted to move this infrastructure, which was an OLTP, from a data center to cloud. They do not want any interruption while doing this, and on top of it, they wanted to reduce the cost of running and hosting this system, which was used by hundreds of large customers, large organization. And therefore, the complex, first of all, was the complexity which we had, the scale at which we had to operate, the governance. Now, this is a global company. You cannot just try and do anything. You have to follow those compliances and look after governances and the continuity, because you cannot have a customer not having the system for any time. And therefore, the solution which we created was built around, first of all, do a comprehensive assessment where we are, how much we need, how much we use, and then scope out the modernization need, how much you need to modernize the database, how much the application, and how much infrastructure to provision. And of course, in this process, we also moved them from a proprietary database to Postgre as a service. And hence, that itself was a huge saving for them. And then we standardized and templatized so that we could repeat what was done from one to the other. Now, we created templates for all these app and infra provisioning so that we could quickly do one by one and do not have to do the whole elephant together. And of course, integrating with other systems, and many of them were heterogeneous. We moved their Azure DevOps with AWS Toolkit, and I would recommend that you spend some time with Neha, because there are so many tools which are available which can help you do this quickly, even at this scale. And of course, a multi-wave cutover was defined so that those hundreds of customers could be brought without interruption. Now, as a result, we had improved speed and performance. We reduced the TCO to 30%, meaning saving 70% of what they were spending. A very flexible system which could just simply scale up or scale down within seconds. A system which was ready for eventuality with high availability, and an uninterrupted system which was running for them. Now, imagine a company of a few $1 billion, how critical would that be, and what is the value they would have driven out of it. The next story which I'm going to talk about is about enhancing performance and speed. Now, here, this is a company which is enabling legal professionals. Now, this is a 23-year-old company which is based out of East Coast. They are helping law professionals in managing case and managing their system by which they get all that information. And of course, their award-winning application help lawyers and paralegals to productively manage caseloads and help them with the efficiency. Now, that is fine. Their ask was that they were running it out of several data centers, several contracts they had, and of course, with the passage of time in pandemic, a lot of people started accessing this because the old ways of working was not working out for them. So the workload increased. They wanted speed of interaction. On top of it, they said that, can we reduce it to maybe half and preferably 1/4 of the price they were spending? The challenge again was that there were several such data centers. There was inflexibility because we wanted to provide higher scalability and response time. And of course, lack of time. They said, well, our contract with the data center is expiring in 4 months. And therefore, there's no point having something on the cloud and yet pay the data center. So they said, can you complete everything in 4 months? And these were the challenges. And hence, the solution was very simple: to first strategize, not to first lift and shift and then see what do we do or optimize. We had to go in the interest of time to lift and optimize. And we used all the services possible from AWS to make that happen. And of course, we templatized and configured the VMS. We utilized all the services possible, moved them, whether it was the money which they were spending on MS SQL. Another very important thing was that they wanted to bring up their already bought licenses in the system so that they do not have to pay it again. And of course, we created the right connect because it was ingesting data from different places, and provided high availability so that just in case if one server goes down, the other can pick up. As a result, it was very, very helpful for them. They increased their IOPS, which was their key requirement because they had exponential growth in their customers, by 4-folds. Their TCO was dropped by 2/1/4. And of course, they they reutilized their existing licenses which they already had, and they brought them over and created a far more modern infrastructure which is now future ready, so that even if now their customer base increased to 2-folds in 1 month, that's all right. And the last one is very important one, where we help them get an analytics platform, increase customers' decision to do an investment. And it's a very interesting story. Just look at it. Now, this company is a P2P lending company, which is serving a huge customer base for smaller investments. Now, because they're serving a large pool of small lenders on mass scale, and they are accredited by RBI and NFBC, they wanted something which could give a brilliant analytics for people to say, can I invest? Yeah, maybe I can. But for that, the data has to come from several different directions. It has to be processed very, very quickly so that it can give you something for you to decide yes or no. And imagine, with our current attention span, how much can a customer spend time on? And therefore, we wanted a system which will provide them analytics to do an end-to-end understanding of what was going on. But, well, we are talking about money here, and therefore the governance, the compliance, and all that had to be right in place. And of course, for them to retain customer, they need to interact more with the system, and they wanted something which was giving them right on the fly. And hence, the requirement was to basically scale a huge data lake, data management, so that it could take data from all these different directions, process it on the fly, integrate all those pieces and present it, and of course they had to be compliant. And the solution was pretty simple. Create a governance model, ingest the data, process it. You can see, and we can talk technically about all the services which we utilized, but what was happening is that something which would take them either forever or take them 10 pieces to put together was available for them on the fly. Data transformation was of course required, because you cannot just take the raw data and do an analysis on top of it. We processed that. We facilitated the data model so that it could predict something which is more reliable, and on top of it, we enabled machine learning, because the system had to become more and more intelligent as the time passes. As a result, we were able to give them an analytics platform which they love, created a very quick response system for transactions, and enhanced customer retention, because now the customer had better experience. We increased the business volume for them, and of course, they had a solid reporting system, because all that was happening digitally. All the information could be assimilated into a report, and they were able to make important decisions, even for themselves, forget about the customer. And with these case studies or success stories, I think I want to make a recommendation. Please do a thorough assessment. And when I say a thorough assessment, meaning look at everything you have, everything you use, how much you spend, how often you use, how deep it can get, what is the peak of usage, and all of that. And therefore, we have come up with a program called Migration Acceleration Program, and I can talk to you about this, in which we will do this assessment. It's lack of sleep, I think. We will do this assessment for you, and AWS will fund it, which means it will be a 6 to 8 weeks exercise in which we will ask you to spend time. We'll ask you to work with us. We'll ask you to tell us what do you do, so that we do not land up into, oh, well, you said the billing will be only $1,000 and I get a bill of $2,000. It's because at that time you thought you only use this resource for the purpose, whereas the reality is it is not the case. Now, we do not have visibility of that, and you need to look at all of that. And since we have designed tools, we have analytics, and AWS is pretty good at that, to do all of that, and at the end give you not only an analysis, but a TCO, the total cost of ownership. So do that assessment. Keep future in mind. Don't just think, oh, I need this now. Yes, you need that. Imagine what? Why do you have a problem today? Because we were solving problem keeping those days in time. We didn't anticipate this today. And the speed at which the technology is changing, I think you absolutely need to keep future in mind. Pick your strategy to move on the cloud. It's no more just lift and shift. It's far more than that. Even the hours which we were thinking, I thought there were 3 hours, then they became 4 hours, which ends with retire, re-architect, re-host, optimize, and. Consider modernization. Now, this is very important. There was a time when we were just running towards the cloud without realizing, now how do we actually start utilizing? And he made a very good point that it is just another way of using the hardware. But if you use it just like another hardware, you're not utilizing or capitalizing the power of cloud. Modernize your application, whether it is shifting from the database, whether it is creating a new architecture, or whether it is adapting a low code, no code. Do that. Find a partner, of course, like us, right? Don't forget, huh? Of course, find a partner who will be able to enable your people. I think, and I'm saying this with a lot of caution, skills. I'm not saying your people are not skilled, but not as experienced as we are. And we will work with so that we can transfer those skills to these people, and they become self-reliant, and they can help you. And then they can say, oh, I don't think we should do it like that. Consider this. Be ready to leave something behind. The legacy. I love her quote. So I asked her, what is your wish? And she said, I do not want any legacy system running in my environment. And that's such a big thing to say. But that is so true. What do you think around you today was around you 20 years ago? Of course, except your loved ones and this world. Everything has changed. And the way the world is changing, the speed at which it is changing, I think we should be ready and okay to leave something behind. And with this, I would say that whether it is your migration need, modernization need, operational need, services, DevOps, anything, just remember me, and I'll help you solve that problem. My name is KK Bhagchandani, and it was absolutely a pleasure being here. Thanks a lot.
For more updates from CXO TV, please like and subscribe to our channel.